Fan Madness Part 2. Brought to you by our great friends at George McCoy at Warren Allen, attorneys at law. X Golf. We are at X Golf Tualatin. Today we'll be at X Golf Vancouver tomorrow from noon until 7 p.m. as we take in all of the madness. Thanks to, again, George McCoy at Warren Allen, attorneys at law, X Golf, and Coors Light.
Indeed.
Get a frosty beverage. Play some golf down here. We got a bunch of groups out here playing already in the simulators. The great Mike Barrett is here.
MB himself. One in the flesh.
MB himself. We've got a lot of the action going to be going on. And, oh, by the way, right now we've got a gospel choir in center field in the batter's eye singing the national anthem because happy opening day.
Hey, happy opening day.
Hey, the one day that everybody in baseball can be happy, except for, as we did find out, I was reminded on Twitter today, everyone except for A's fans can be happy.
Happy you're losing your team day?
Lonnie said, not sure A's fans agree with everybody being happy on opening day. That might be the only fan base that is not happy today.
Yeah, I'm thrilled. It's going to be a great day.
I'm happy. Yeah, look, I get the Astros playing the Yankees today. Who do the Cards?
The Dodgers.
That joy is going to be gone very quickly. But you can be happy for now.
Yeah, we've got a hell of a lineup, but I'm one step away from being a pitcher for that staff.
Wouldn't that be a thing if, we find out the Birds are behind this Ohtani betting thing because they're like, we need to get in his dish before that opening series.
Yeah, we got to make sure we get off to a good start because our pitching staff is not good, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey, it's okay. We like runs, and it'll be exciting. But right now, the very first game of the Major League Baseball season, it's going to be a doozy, man. I'm here for it. You got the Baltimore Orioles taking on the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. Mike Trout versus Adley Rutschman. How about that? How about that to kick things off?
Yeah, that's is Major League Baseball doing it right?
No, they're not.
Oh, okay.
No, they're not. Because have you seen this? If you go to ESPN.com and you bring up their front page, how many of those players can you name on the front page right there? Isn't that a problem with baseball right now?
Goodness.
They have 4 players on there. And I know Framber Valdez is on there because he pitches for the Astros. But it is really hard.
Who is that supposed to be for the Rangers?
And this is my problem.
That's not I thought maybe it'd be Wyatt Langford who they called up.
This is the guys that you need on your, hey, it's opening day. You need to have, and maybe Ohtani's not the guy to put on there right now.
Yeah, but Mike Trout exists. Julio Rodriguez exists. Adley Rutschman exists.
Ellie De La Cruz of the Reds, which we will talk about him today a little bit.
Or hell, put Judge up there.
Yeah,
put freaking Yankee.
Put Judge on there. Put Ronald Acuna on there. I mean, there's plenty of guys that you can market and you can say, hey, this is what baseball is right now. Market some stars. Instead, a lot of people are going, unless you're a real seamhead, you're probably in the dark on a lot of who these guys are. And that's one thing baseball continually needs to do better at. But we get the Orioles, not they are Birds, but we get the Orioles. Mm-hmm. We get Mike Trout. Ron Washington is back managing for the Angels.
Ripping darts in the dugout.
Have you, the manager turnover in baseball?
It's, you don't know who's managing who.
It is really hard.
It's really weird. The Cardinals extended Ollie Marmol, which was a surprise, but I know who the manager is going to be for the Cardinals, at least until they crash into the side of the mountain.
Well, hey, good for you. Right? That's good. Good on you. Good on you. Well, we all know that Dave Roberts will be fired as the Dodgers manager if they can't win a World Series this year.
I mean,
if they don't win a World Series this year, he should be fired.
This feels very much like, why did you bring him back? Why?
Well,
why?
Because he did win a World Series.
I guess, but also
took him to one more. I mean, well, things are okay.
It's
okay. He's a likable guy.
Yeah,
He's a likable guy. All right. We are at X Golf Tualatin, though. Come down, say hi. Come hang, because the madness starts at 4 o'clock today. We get the round of 16 opening up. And this is going to be fun, man. We got a lot of really good matchups. And I think that it is chalky, but I think the matchups that we're going to get, we're going to have some great games.
We should have some good games on the docket, that's for sure. But the NCAA tournament has this way of going, you think this is going to be good, but in reality, it's not actually great.
Look, Arizona takes on Clemson. That's going to be the first game tipping off at 4 o'clock.
And that should be, you would expect to be at least reasonably matched up.
As a Pac-12 lover, I am for them having Clemson in this round of 16. Because we all know Arizona cannot be trusted.
No, God, no, and neither can Clemson.
No. After that, though, you get San Diego State-UConn rematch of the national championship game, which I bet UConn wins by 11.
Yeah.
You've got North Carolina-Bama. I think that game has the potential to be a fantastic basketball game, up and down.
Yes.
We're going to see some running. We're going to see some scoring in that one.
Alabama's the highest-paced team in the country, so you should expect to see them get them down. But the late-night game.
The nightcap is the one.
Yeah.
The nightcap is the one. Illinois-Iowa State.
That's the one
Giddy
that
up.
on paper you've got scoring up and down, you've got great coaching, you've got teams that make sense for stylistic matchups.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be the game that's going to deliver us the best results.
Booty ball. Booty ball will be played, and we'll have audio because some kids just can't be trusted at the podium. And we found out why. But you get the round of 16, and then tomorrow, obviously, some intrigue.
Tomorrow's got the slate.
You got North Carolina State Marquette, the Cinderella story out of the ACC, taking on Shaka Smart, Kolek, and Marquette. Gonzaga, Purdue. That's the opposite of the run up and down the floor in a lot
Yeah.
of
This is a punch each other in the paint kind of game. It's going to be really fun. Duke, Houston.
Yeah.
The line on this is 4.5 Houston. I just feel like Houston's going to absolutely just destroy Duke.
You think so?
Yeah.
All right.
I do.
All right. And then Creighton, Tennessee wraps up tomorrow.
And again, the nightcap, Tennessee Creighton, where you've got the battle of the whites.
The
Baylor Shireman versus Dalton Connect, and both of them play very similar styles of basketball, where they're just going to run off screens and jack up shots the entire game.
And like people are going to get all ramped up from hating Duke in the game right before it. That it'll be perfect timing that they can just sit there and the hate will be burning in their heart, and they're going to be like, "Rah! Look at those guys."
Then you go, "Wow, we just watched Duke, and now we get to watch all of the other white guys."
There is the controversies in Gonzaga is hilarious. I don't know if anybody saw this today, but
This is the dumbest, best thing I've seen in a while. My goodness.
the NCAA men's tournament is not immune to political controversies, as there's a representative from the state of Michigan, and I don't know how this popped up on my feed, but the algorithm was there.
God bless that it did.
There was a rep that was very upset because he was accusing I don't know who, but he said that the illegal immigrants had just landed in Detroit and they were busing them via police escort. And it was Gonzaga arriving from Spokane. It was the Gonzaga team plane and their three buses, and somehow they got caught up in the illegals being shipped in.
This is why you can't trust people that don't watch March Madness. If you don't watch sports, you can't trust them.
It's the dumbest possible timeline.
The community notes was, this is a photo of Gonzaga's team plane as they arrived in Detroit to play in the Sweet 16 of the NCAA men's basketball tournament.
Boy, if they only found out. Remember,
and then he doubled down on it too.
It was like, no, let me go ahead and circle back to this. Kevin Calabro told me that he rides the last bus when he goes to games, the third bus, and a lot of times it's just him and maybe one other player on said bus that go into the arena. And he joked, if only the people that were being pushed aside by the police escort knew who was on the bus, especially like when they're in LA and they're like pushing a police escort down Rodeo Drive.
Yeah. And actually,
And it's
very
like-
important people
it's-
are being held up as you're
It-
like.
it's Kevin Calabro
I'm
in the back of the
taking
bus,
my
just
bug.
chilling.
Yeah. That's
It
great.
feels like it's one of those instances where
Yeah.
it's just like it's Ben Gregg and the Gonzaga basketball team.
If you have never been a part of a police escort that's not like for a funeral, a funeral procession, it's a very, it's an empowering feeling when you are on, like, every road is being shut down. You're blowing through red lights. You feel like you're the king of the world in that moment.
Oh yeah,
It's a way of travel that is, I think more people need to have it in their life because it's fantastic to have the whole world around you just stops as you're going somewhere very meaningless, usually to a sporting event.
which
It's
is hilarious. That's the most frequent use of the police cavalcade,
Game travel,
right?
you need it.
Just-
you need it.
Absolutely dumb as hell.
All right. Well, it's raining outside, so no
yeah,
better time.
you
Come on
lied
in.
to me.
Well, they said that
You
there's
lied to me, sir. You
No.
told me yesterday. Tomorrow will be a great day. It'll be shorts weather. It'll be 65.
That was hold on. That was I didn't say that yesterday. That was earlier in the week. But as we all know, Oregon weather pushed back a couple of days.
Yeah, you know, I
you
opened
get
up-
you get sunny and in the 60s all through the weekend, all the way to Tuesday now. It's bumped all the way to Tuesday.
I got ready to leave today, and I opened the door, and it was
Again.
significantly colder.
Open a window, sir.
No, I keep blackout curtains exist for a reason.
But you can move them ever so slightly to the side, and you can be like, "Oh, look at that weather! It's raining."
No, I like to just open the door and be like surprised.
No wonder, like, you're late everywhere. Like you're sitting there, like, "Oh well, now I got to change completely because I had the inability to move a curtain 3 inches."
I just want to say I did beat you here today.
Yeah. That's because I finally did my taxes.
Ah, there you go. Morning taxes. God, I can't think of a worse way to start my day.
Oh no, I didn't do that. I just dropped them off at the accountant. But by doing that, I got stuck in this one. I show up and I'm like, documents, right? Mm-hmm. And it's usually like they just scan them all for you, and then bing, bada bing, bada bang, bada boom, you're out. I had to write down all of like my information, handwritten. I was like, "Isn't this on the computer directly in front of you?" Yeah, I just like to have my own notes. Well, that's the whole point of the computer that is directly in front of you. You have it.
This
right
is somebody who
there.
does not trust society.
No,
That's what this is. But then again,
No, and I was
think
like-
I want that out of my accountant.
But I was like, I'm not putting my social on this. You already have that.
Yeah.
You know, like you could call me because my phone number's right here.
If you need it, you go ahead and call me.
I'm not putting all of my information on this one, lady. But it was in having that piece of knowledge of what I just told you. Describe the person that asked me for the handwritten note.
They're at least 65.
Yep.
I would imagine probably a reverse to technology in general. Prefer to do things originally. Does this person still have an in-home phone or an in-office like pickup phone that you can see?
Well, yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
I mean it is a place of business,
Okay.
so that's pretty standard operating
I'm just saying. I don't know if we were talking about an office or a
Yeah.
single rep.
Yeah.
Because sometimes everybody moves to just the cell phone now.
Yeah, no, with headset.
Ooh.
Yeah. She is. You nailed it. She is an old. Mm-hmm. She was wearing
Was there a brooch involved?
I think it was a homemade sweater.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah.
So
it
no-
was
so
like
no-
a
no
knitted
brooch.
sweater.
Okay.
It was a knitted sweater. And,
Possibly matching socks.
Yeah, she strikes me as the type that she goes to the hair, like, you know how like some of the olds, they'll go to the hairdresser like, you know,
For social?
week, yeah, once a week.
Yeah.
That's the wheelhouse that we're in.
Gotcha.
Right there. And that's why I was like, I see why you don't trust the computer.
Yeah, that's
here.
fair.
Probably because you just don't know how to click to where you
Turn
need
it
to
on.
be.
Yeah, that's very strong.
Yeah,
I would
that's where we're at.
imagine has more faith in the 13-year-old cat than the computer.
100%.
Yeah. Okay.
Sprinkles she has far more trust in Sprinkles than she does in her computer that has all of my personal and financial information in it. So I'm really interested to see.
I think if we knew who our CPAs were, like really were, like I have some friends that work as controllers who did things when we were younger that would definitely disqualify them for their job based on like thought process wise stuff. And I go, if they only knew.
If they only knew who you were handing that over to. All right. Well, we're off, and this is a friendly reminder. April 15th, tax day. All right?
Yes. It is. Let's see,
right.
today is the.
It's the 28th of March.
28th of March. There you go.
So this is the time you got to get going on your taxes there. All right, let's get this show on the road. We have the round of 16 coming up. We will discuss the most intriguing matchups of this NCAA tournament as it rolls on today. We will go through a little bit of opening day love for baseball as we have had first pitches are underway. And Adley Rutschman just, look at that, dropped strike 3, still gunned him out, huh? Gunned him out at first. We will have some Major League Baseball opening day stuff. Got a lot of stuff from the NFL today because it is the league that never sleeps. But we got a lot of NBA.
We do. The
got a
refs
lot of
reffed
NBA.
really hard last night.
That's where we got to start because Steph Curry cried. Draymond got ejected, and Kelly Oubre became a hero. Next on The Fan.
It's The Fan on Demand.
They're kind of fun to play with.
Tualatin as George McCoy at Warren Allen Attorneys at Law presents Fan Madness Part 2 as we get ready for the round of 16 in the NCAA men's basketball tournament. Our good friends at Coors Light helping put on this great event as well. It's awesome to be out here and to be a part of all of the madness as we have a couple of groups still playing. Do you notice that we had a group roll in? 3 guys, one set of clubs.
I mean, keeping it moving.
Yeah, I mean, easy decisions right there. Maybe that's just how they roll. But
if one of you's left-handed, well,
you're SOL.
right-handed today.
You're right-handed today. All right, we got to choose your own adventure in the NBA. I got a lot of NBA notes, and some Blazers related. And I think we actually have conversations of consequence regarding Trailblazers.
Indeed.
Moving forward. But yesterday was a bizarre night in the NBA because officiating has been at the forefront of a lot of folks' minds throughout the course of the season. And a lot of complaints have come down. But last night, you had one where you can say, yes, officials were the problem. The other one, you can say, dumb gonna dumb.
Yeah.
And which one do you want to start with? Dumb gonna dumb, or do you want...
Let's go dumb gonna dumb
Okay.
first because I think we need more time on the other one.
Draymond Green,
Yeah.
my friends, ejected 3 minutes into their game last night
Mans didn't even get a sweat going.
against the Orlando Magic. And look, this is a critical game. I mean, for the Golden State Warriors, which ended up holding on and winning the basketball game, and they still hold their 1-game lead over the Houston Rockets for the 10th and final spot in the play-in game out west. That was a big game against the Orlando Magic, who are playing good basketball.
Magic are currently in the 5th seed in the East.
And, they've come back kind of down to earth. At post-All-Star break, they were red hot, and they were electric, and they were
They're 2 games back from 3rd.
That's wild.
Yeah.
They're playing really good basketball, but that was a big game for Golden State, especially when you're on the road and every win will matter. In a Rockets team that has now won 10 games in a row because they held pace last night, and they continued their red-hot streak. Draymond gets run 3 minutes into the game, and it was a bizarre kind of scene because the foul in question that set Draymond off did not even involve him. It was a foul against Andrew Wiggins.
Yeah, and even then, it wasn't really that egregious. It was like, all right.
But Draymond did his thing. He went ballistic. He got a technical foul for saying the 4-letter words that you cannot say. Mm-hmm. But then he just kept on going.
And teammates tried to step in. They tried to interrupt him. And honestly, you have to give Acosta, the ref, a ton of credit because he sat there and he sat there and he sat there.
He even moved, and then his officiating buddies came in and they're like, "Hey, let's go over to the scorer's table. We got a timeout here on the floor."
And Acosta de-escalated as much as he could, and then Draymond dropped the magic words where he called him a BAN, and that's it.
And I saw a lot of Warriors fans like, "Oh, how can you run a guy? He was walking away. He turned away from you." He said, "You are a blankety blank blank."
Yep.
And when you say you, we all know this. Whether it's baseball, basketball, football.
You can walk away and go, that dude is or he is, but when you say you are that is a, please throw me out of the game now.
Especially if you already have one technical foul against you.
And the thing was, look, anybody who knows me knows I hate most officials.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting here going, yeah, no, Acosta he held his composure. He was cool. He let Dre bark. He was like, you know what? I got time. It's 3 minutes of the game. It's whatever. And then he walked away and basically told Dre, chill, dude. And then Dre decided to go and magic phrase it.
And this is where I think it got pretty odd, in my opinion, because of the fact that Steph Curry, he could not compose himself either in that moment. Once Draymond Green got tossed, knowing kind of the situation they were in, knowing where Houston is and where their lot is in the standings, Steph Curry started crying, man. And for the life of me, he was just like, it was that moment where it was like, I am so sick of this happening continually. And these are games of consequence now, and these are games that we need to win, and we need Draymond Green. Now, they ended up holding on and winning that game because there was 45 minutes left to play. But that was the weird part to me.
100%. And Mark Spears, the reporter for ESPN, who is about as plugged into the Bay as humanly exists, just went on ESPN and said that he believes, and this is code for Steph Curry told me, that this is the most difficult season of his career. And it's because he's having to deal with so much dumb, whether it's the injuries up and down the roster, Steve Kerr's unwillingness to play the young guys, Draymond Green's constant stupidity. Draymond Green is a basketball savant. Do not get it wrong. He is one of the smartest players to literally ever play the game. You don't get this far and be this successful as a player who shoots with a weighted backpack on without being this smart. But he is the dumbest smart guy in basketball. He went and talked about how he went and saw a psychiatrist and got help and got emotional understanding and growth. And I swear to God, he's been worse since he's come back. We've seen him tackle guys. We've seen him pull guys to the ground. Do you see what he did to Patty Mills?
Yeah.
I mean, it was a 3-point takedown.
The Aussie Bola, which
that was
that was leading into last night.
Yes, and it's like the dude is like somebody like again. I will say this both publicly and privately. Violence solves a lot. Somebody needs the Draymond Green. That's the thing is, you often hear about, like, I don't like going to the old heads, but God, I can't remember who it was. I think it might have been Oakley, Charles Oakley, who said you used to have bullies and enforcers, and the enforcers would scare the bullies. They kept the bullies in check. There's nobody. Draymond Green is a bully. Yeah. There's no enforcer to keep him in check anymore. The last one we had really was Steven Adams, because when Adams was on the floor, you know what happened?
Yeah.
Absolutely nothing.
Nothing.
Because that man was going to come over there and kill you. Yeah. And you just don't have enough of that in the NBA. And it allows Draymond Green to keep doing the dumbest of dumb things.
Well, this is, and I think what we're seeing is Steph not just frustrated with Draymond, but last night that emotion was the mortality of this run. Just 2 years removed from winning an NBA title, their fourth NBA title. You have Steph Curry sitting there going, this is it for us. Like, if we have a guy that we need to depend on and we need to rely on, and he is continually putting our team up against it, we can't move forward like this any longer.
No, and then the basketball mortality is a real thing. No run ends sweetly. None of them do. I mean, you talk about The Last Dance and how much that's romanticized because Michael Jordan told it the way he wanted to be told. It was nasty. It was ugly. It came crashing down. The Spurs empire came crashing down. Remember Kawhi Leonard leaving under just terrible circumstances? It was like, this is how every one of these dynasties go. That's how it has to go. That's just the reality of it. Kobe and Shaq, they fall out there. Kobe, tell me how my tastes. Like, come on. This is very normal for how this goes. It's just, this is their version of it.
So how do we feel this year ends for the Golden State Warriors, though? Because there's going to be decisions that have to be made roster-wise heading out of this year.
They have a $171 million tax bill.
We know that Klay Thompson is gone. In all likelihood, Draymond Green is gone, too. Their first-round pick this year is also gone.
Unless it moves into number one, top four.
Top four. The Portland Trailblazers are going to have a nice little hold of that first-round pick. These decisions that they need to make moving forward, how does the end of this year go for the Portland Trailblazers or the Golden State Warriors? Because this kind of seems like it is the pivot point. Draymond gets run. Steph is in tears during a game. How do you think it ends for them?
That's
because it could be galvanizing or rip them apart.
Yeah, that's the thing is, I don't, because they already paid Draymond. I don't think he's going to actually end up going anywhere. And I think Klay Thompson moving him to the bench was the thing that kind of made his contract demands probably get pushed way back down because I think mentally he still thought he was that guy.
Back in the starting lineup last night.
Yeah, well, like I said, being moved to the bench probably reset where he was at contractually. The Wiggins stuff, he's, you don't want to go off the rails on that, but he became Minnesota Timberwolves Wiggins because he's been number one dealing with stuff with his family, but also he's just been he's been cheeks this season. He's been poor. Everybody losing their mind over Jonathan Kuminga being so great, and then it's like, where's he at now? Like, he's a good player, but it's not that guy. And they missed on Wiseman, and it's just one of those situations where the light years guys weren't actually smarter than everybody else. They were just the right place at the right time, and this is how it all comes crashing down.
Well, and remember, this is year one post Bob Myers.
Oh, Bob knew what he was doing.
But,
Bob said, I'm not dealing with this on the way out.
And so you have a situation where the front office, it's a
Led
lot
by
easier to
Jesuit
make.
legend Mike Dunleavy Jr.
Yeah, he can make those decisions a lot easier to, hey, we're going to go the separate ways. We're going to hit the restart button after this one. This is going to be, I know a lot of people are questioning where Golden State is at. I don't know if they have the gas to make any sort of push or any run because, look, they're playing for the 10 seed in the play-in round, which means at best – they are playing the 2 seed in the opening round of the Western Conference.
Yeah, and so what's the height of this team kind of going forward without a massive overhaul where they get lucky again?
Yeah.
And the reality is, does Steph Curry want to be and Dirk Nowitzki this thing and go, you know what, it is what it is down the stretch. I won here.
Yep.
Or does he kind of go Damian Lillard and go, I have more. I have more, and I want to keep winning. And that's the decision that he's going to have to make this summer.
It is not feasible to
they're
continue
not
down their
winning.
road right now.
No, they're just too expensive and they're too old.
P1B Rod, Curry's fed up carrying this team and dealing with Draymond. I'm sure it's so draining mentally, physically, and emotionally, and it finally came out for Curry. Draymond does not want to listen to anyone. Warriors should have cut him last season. I think that there is a little bit of that with Steph, and especially because, the response for Draymond in all of this is he goes on his podcast and says something stupid. Like he said, his defense was, I shouldn't have done that. We've heard this before.
Uh-huh. Was that when you kicked the guy in the nuts the first time, the second time maybe stomped in the guy's chest, maybe threw a punch, maybe knocked out your teammate? I mean, you unroll the scroll.
He says shouldn't have done that, can't happen. How many times have we heard Draymond Green say, just can't happen anymore? And then he says, but I said what I said. It's like, that's the problem.
Yeah.
And that is what it truly is. It holds this team back because it's been anytime they start gaining a little bit of momentum, he goes and does something.
And this is why I said that you needed to hit him with a 25-game suspension because the 15-game one, it was like, we'll see. I think 25 you might have actually gotten something out of it.
Yeah.
Because it would have hurt the team so much that it would have come back to him.
His defense was, I should have been kicked out, but if I'm being honest, I wasn't trying to say it at him. I was trying to turn my body. We know exactly what you did. We all saw it.
Yeah. We could see it clearly.
Yeah.
Dummy.
All right. Well, the Golden State Warriors back at it again, huh? Let's go. Elsewhere in the NBA, Kelly Oubre became a hero. That after Ortner with SportsCenter.
Now,
Rain, but we are here at X Golf Tualatin.
I believe the exact expression I would use is it sucks and blows outside right now.
Yeah, Wayne's World needs to be rewatched. It sucks and blows. It sure does.
It sure does.
We are at X Golf Tualatin Fan Madness Part 2. We are here until 7 p.m. tonight. Come down, play some golf on the simulators, have a few cold ones. We got opening day on. We got the Angels and the Orioles in action
2-1,
right
top
now.
of the second.
Yep.
Already got some scoring.
Mike Trout has already gone yard.
Slam lamma ding dong.
And then Adley Rutschman has already crossed the plate for the Orioles. So look at it. We got stars showing out already.
Mike Trout with a 4,000 slugging, and the Angels lose by 7.
Well, I have a feeling that Adley Rutschman has got he's got a shot to bat 1,000 this year.
Yep. Right out of the gate.
Statistically
right now,
possible.
1,000 average, 1,000 on-base percentage, and 1,000 slugging.
Well, there we go.
Turns out pretty good.
We got opening day on TVs. We've got the Houston Open on the Golf Channel going on right now. And then come 4 o'clock, the madness all begins. The round of 16. And we are out here. Isaac and Suk are going to be showing up in, if we're being quite honest with you, 2 hours and 2 hours on the dot. They'll be here.
Yeah,
because it is
right.
12:43 right now. But they're going to be here from 3 to 7, broadcasting live. So come down, hang out, have a few pops, have a Coors Light or two.
Indeed.
At X Golf Tualatin with us. We're going to be at X Golf Vancouver tomorrow. So if you're north of the border there, meet us at X Golf Vancouver tomorrow.
In Washington, not Canada.
The border of Oregon and Washington, not the border
And
of
not Vancouver,
the United
Canada.
States of
Because
America.
it was like, you said the border in Vancouver.
I did. That's good catch by you.
Yeah, you know.
Good catch
I'm
by
here.
you.
I'm here to make sure that we're factually accurate.
Can you get into other countries?
I can.
Okay, good for you.
I've been to over 50.
Well, you've been there, but can you leave now?
I have not been thrown out or banned from any countries. I have been with people who, while I was with them, they were thrown out of said countries and or banned.
That's a tough thing to do.
It is. We got escorted to the Canadian border from Winnipeg by the Canadian Mounties because of a friend of mine. And they stamped his passport, and he is banned from Canada.
Boy.
Yeah, that happened.
I mean, I don't know if that's like the worst thing in the world. But it's not a good thing.
The funny thing is, he was born in the States,
Yeah.
and he was raised in Wales. So when he would get drunk, the accent that would come out of him, oh boy.
So he's
boy.
got family up there. So that probably is a little bit tougher for him.
Yeah. Oh no. He was in Wales, like UK.
Oh, Wales. I thought you said Winnipeg.
Yeah. No. We were up
I
in
wasn't
Winnipeg.
listening.
No.
Oh, I'm listening.
You were listening.
I
We were
was
up in Winnipeg.
He's from Wales.
Yeah. I mean,
He's
we would go
Welsh.
up there to have some fun,
Oh,
and we had too much fun.
No.
What do
Too
you do?
much fun was had.
Yeah.
Good
question, Will.
The
Good question.
The FCC limits the things that we can discuss on this radio.
Can you paint me a
station.
picture?
No, definitely not.
Just give us the G-rated version, because like when I tell you PG, you go to R.
Yeah,
so give me the
yeah.
G-rated version.
It was just a lot of debauchery that may or may not have involved a strip club. And one thing I found out is that at strip clubs in Canada, there's also you can pay for the extras,
Okay.
and things went weird from there.
Yeah. All right.
Not bad. Well, I guess
Again,
bad.
I don't
but-
get it.
the
What
keeping it G.
happened?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, but where'd this go wrong? Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
Well,
Yep. There was a misunderstanding.
the company you keep, my friend.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, you're United States Armed Services. Only the best and the brightest.
All right, let's get to Kelly Oubre before you go to jail.
Speaking of best and brightest, whew,
Kelly Oubre became a hero last night.
Shout
to
out
many.
KO.
If you've seen the movie Half Baked, he went full half baked
he
on the
went
way
for
out.
it, and I love it.
He went for it. We'll get to that coming up next. This is Danny and Dusty on The Fan.
Hello, sports fans, and welcome to
Prime time.
Oh, that's not true at all. That's not true at all. Had to go to the restroom.
Hit that Joe
Really
Fisher
quick, and
40,
now we're
did
back.
you?
Yep.
Yeah, that 5'8", 40. Nailed it right
It's tough.
there.
It's
All
tough.
right, let's get to our next officiating debacle in the NBA. Kelly Oubre of the 76ers, who I got to be quite honest, I was indifferent on Kelly Oubre as a person or a basketball player.
Last time we heard about him was the
He got hit on his bike, right?
yeah, and that didn't seem to add up.
Oh, wait, there's more to that?
Yeah, there.
What happened? Wait, what happened with Kelly Oubre on his bike? I thought he was riding his bike and he got hit by a car.
Sure, yeah, that's probably the case, that he was riding a bicycle, and that completely went away because of reasons.
Oh.
Definitely probably wasn't riding a motorcycle that wasn't licensed under his contract.
Oh, that's one thing. That all those contracts, they have a lot of stipulations.
It's weird. Remember how big of a story it was? And it was like, oh, my God, Kelly Oubre was hit by a car.
And then
then it went.
and then went away. Well, he did the Lord's work last night because the 76ers, they kind of got hosed against the Clippers.
Not kind of. They did.
Final minute of the game, they had a 2-point lead over the Los Angeles Clippers. I think it was 104 to 102. And you had a situation where Oubre had the ball just over half court, and what looked like a blatant foul. Ball ends up getting popped away from him, and it looked like it was a reach. The officials ruled that it was out on Kelly Oubre. And I did not know this, but Ala Abdenavi is the color analyst for the 76ers. Yeah. He went off on the officials like during this, and this was like 44 seconds to go.
And Ala, for those that don't know, is normally very low key.
Well, he was furious
because it was very clear what happened.
Oubre did not touch the ball,
and he got fouled.
And so no matter what, the 76ers should have had the basketball.
Yeah, they got doubly screwed.
As it worked out, Kawhi Leonard gets the ball, puts his head down, goes to the rack, gets fouled, makes the bucket, makes the free throw, and that 2-point lead now is a 1-point deficit.
That's game.
And what happened? What had happened was the 76ers get the ball back. They're going down to attempt to win the game, and as Oubre is driving through the lane and time is expiring, he goes up and he gets hacked. Absolutely just mauled in the lane.
And
now,
there's zero call.
No call. I don't think that Kelly Oubre gets the shot off, even if the whistle wasn't blown, because of the way that, like, he got fouled as he was going up, and the foul happened before the
clock expires, sure.
Clock hit zeros. But a foul was during play. And so you should have called that, especially on the heels of what we had seen before.
Yes.
And as it all plays out, Oubre is just furious. Nick Nurse is livid.
Tyrese Maxey's having fun in a weird little way.
And as the game and the officials finally say, it's over, we're done here, Oubre goes up to each official individually, points at them, and gives them the "You're a B, you're a B, you're a B, I'm out," and walks away.
And then the best part about it is Tyrese Maxey is standing there, and he sees what's happening, and he gets the biggest smile on his face, and he kind of just grabs Oubre by the arm, like, "Go on, you should leave, but keep going, though. Keep going."
We're kind of okay with
and the
what's
thing was,
happening
like,
right now.
as much as you had Acosta stand there and take it from Draymond before he tossed him, Kelly Oubre was 100% right. These refs absolutely jacked up every single part of this, and Nick Nurse let him have it too. I mean, he was, "Are you bleeping kidding me? Are you bleeping stupid? You bleep this up. How bleeping dumb can you be?" I mean, you can read his lips. It's very, 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 very clear. Almost as clear as Kelly Oubre calling them all Bs.
And this is the thing that kind of the exclamation point on all of it. Pool reporter goes into the locker room after the game to talk to the officials. And Kevin Scott, who is the lead official on that game, said, "On the last play on the floor, in real time, the crew interpreted that play as the defender jumping vertically. However, in post-game video review, we did observe some slight drift to the left by the defender, George, and a foul should have been ruled. Anybody else in the arena, I think everybody in the arena, including Paul George, if we're being quite honest, knew that was a foul. In real time, it looked like a foul.
Yeah,
he was getting mugged, and he wasn't just vertical. He was hunched over and drifting to the left, as the official said. It was a pretty clear foul. Pretty clear foul. So Kelly Oubre, will he get fined for calling every official on the floor a B and it being on TV?
Yes, because you can't do that when in reality you should be able to.
Yeah,
It was like, well, you need to be professional. No, you don't.
I have a feeling they're going to
don't.
pass the hat around in that locker room.
Yeah.
And
I guarantee the 76ers are going to fight the fine. And they'll get it reduced.
I mean, you can't fight that fine, though, because you can't call. We just went over this with Draymond.
Mm-hmm.
You can't say you.
He singled out each of them.
He went to every single one.
And then he said your mama and your grandmama.
And it was like you, all of you. And it was comedy, man. And
He's a hero.
I didn't know that Kelly Oubre had that in him.
I mean, you can very clearly, you're a B, you're a B, you're a B. And then he kind of steps back, and you can kind of see him go into, and your mama and your grandmama. Like, he just keeps going. And he was right.
Yeah.
I mean, they botched it every step of the way. Every step of the way.
What does the NBA do to kind of rectify the ills of their
What
officials
has this entire season been marred by?
It's officiating.
Over and over and over and over again.
I think that the one thing that the NBA can't do, though, is be reactionary in this. If I'm being quite honest, just as we say it takes time for players in the league to acclimate themselves, I think any sweeping changes that the NBA makes, we've talked about this. There's been such a dramatic turnover in officials in the NBA over the last 5 years that you have these crews that are young and inexperienced and so many new officials. You can't make their job harder. And this is kind of what the NFL always does. They make all these rules and they put in rules and they overreact to them to try and help the officials out, but it doesn't.
No.
And it doesn't. It makes their job just more difficult.
Yeah.
I think what the NBA just has to do is they've got to lean on, all right, maybe we bring in some of those old heads, we bring them back, because I think one thing that the new officials struggle with the most is controlling the egos of the game.
Not even controlling the egos, it's controlling the flow and the pace, and also just being better at making calls.
But that's what I think just comes with time.
Yeah.
That comes with time and experience. I'm talking like the one thing that the NBA can do to help this, you got to bring those old guys back in and share their experiences of how they control, because I think controlling the players is controlling that flow of the game.
It is, because you see these young refs, you can see them. Like I said, I mentioned I sit behind the remix bench when I go to G League games, and I can hear the conversations between Jim Moran and the refs. And there are very, 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 very different exchanges between refs with experience and refs without it. Refs without it, they come at him with like pressed. They're mad, they're angry, they're frustrated. They think they're being shown up. They have to. Then you see the refs with experience. They let Jim vent, and if he crosses the line, Jim, come on.
Yeah.
And it's a very, very simple thing, because it's not personal until it becomes personal, and a lot of these younger officials, they take it as very personal.
You lose that trust, you lose that connection with the players and the coaches, though, and I think that's what a lot of these guys have done. That's kind of like the fence mending that needs to happen over this offseason. And I think that goes a long way. And then just experience overall with these officials. I think it'll get better. Right now it is a tough spot, though, for the NBA and their officiating. All right, let's get to a little opening day action, because the Orioles are on right now, the first game of the Major League Baseball season, and they are under new ownership, and it can't start in a better way than it did last night. Danny and Dusty on the Fan.
Want a job that makes a difference? Join the TriMet team and help
Golf Tualatin. Fan Madness brought to you by George McCoy at Warren Allen Attorneys at Law and Coors Light, as we are getting ready for the madness to get underway about 3 hours from now. The first game of the round of 16 tips off. We have opening day action, though, across Major League Baseball, and Adley Rutschman still on pace to bat 1,000. He is 2 for 2 RBI for the Orioles, as they are absolutely mauling the Angels. 5-1 in the bottom of the second. Sandoval has been pulled for the Angels after 1 2/3 inning pitched.
Getting absolutely shelled, and Adley Rutschman on pace for 300 RBI.
Hey, that'll be a good season.
That's a record.
I think that'll be a good season for him. But opening day in baseball is here. Hope springs eternal across the world of baseball at this time. And right now, as the Orioles-Angels game is on the TVs here at X Golf Tualatin, you're seeing they're talking with their new owner. And I don't know if you can ask for a better way to ingratiate yourself to a fan base and to the people of the city you own a team in than what Mike Arougheti, I think, billionaire. Bro, Mike Arougheti did just last night. On the eve of opening day, he goes to the bars in Baltimore, and he does this.
Yo, listen up! Yo! Everybody! You guys hear me? Hey, everybody! Yo! Oi! Oi! I want to introduce myself. I'm Mike Arougheti, one of the new owners of the O's. This is...
The cheers for ownership being
Smitty,
gone.
also a new owner of the O's.
Smitty!
We're buying everybody.
And this is
here.
Mitch. Hey!
I am now an Orioles fan.
Yep.
Like, I'm an Orioles
Do
fan
you know
now.
how simple that is to be like Josh Harris did this with the Commanders? They did the exact same thing. It is the simplest way to get favor because that tab could be $25,000, and if these guys are worth billions, they don't even blink at that in reality. It's not a big deal, but like that'll go. Hey, remember when the owners showed up the night before opening night or opening day and bought everybody beers? And this is on the heels of, unfortunately, Peter Angelos passing away. But the Angelos family selling off the majority stakes in the Baltimore Orioles to the Carlyle Group, which has more money than God.
Well, and the Angelos family is notoriously cheap.
Yes.
And they, to their credit, to the Angelos family's credit, they realized, one, Pops is dying, but the other part of it is we have to be able to field a winner because we went down this road of cashing checks, compiling draft picks and prospects, and they're hitting on all of them.
Yeah.
And you have to be able to have that money to pay, and we can't be the broke boy owners anymore. And they actually did right
By selling the team.
Baltimore fans,
Yes.
by selling the team and giving it to a guy who's like, all right, the first step I'm going to take is I'm buying beers for the bar.
And we're going to pour money into the organization. And
I love it, man.
the interesting part about this is there's a very good article in The Athletic about the process and how it actually was kind of shady in a sense because the Angelos family agreed to a land lease deal for 30 years with Baltimore and promised the team would not be sold as late as December, as in 4 months ago. Which means, and if you're familiar with how the process works for buying a professional sports team, it does not happen in 90 days.
No.
Which we'll talk about the Minnesota Timberwolves and where they're at. Oh my God, that's a disaster piece. But the Angelos family was lying through their teeth about whether or not they were selling the team, and it's kind of disrupted some of the land use stuff and land use agreements with the city of Baltimore. But they'll figure that out, I believe, because I believe this ownership group that came in, a lot of them are from Baltimore. And they have ties to the franchise. They grew up watching the Orioles. And they have already said that we want to stay out of the way. We want to let the baseball people baseball, and we want to pump money into it. And this is what you want to see, is you want to see as a fan is owners that go, hey, we're doing things right. We don't necessarily need to get in the way of all of this. and we'll go ahead and write the checks and see where this ends up, because this Orioles team, as we're watching them absolutely shell the Angels, they're loaded.
Yeah.
And this is without the number one prospect in baseball. Jackson Holliday is not on the opening day roster because they don't want to start the clock on him and get him to arbitration sooner.
He had his struggles in spring training
He did,
too, but
lefties
bring
got
him up.
But he's also he's thought of as a can't miss, all-star caliber prospect. And again, this team is dumb young. They are dumb cheap right now, and they're the most promising team in baseball.
Well, and this is where I think a lot of new ownership is realizing this in sports. The old money in baseball especially was, hey, we're going to print money in no matter what. We're going to get our revenue sharing. It is just going to be annual income over and over and over again.
And that's still true.
What new ownership is saying, because they come in already being billionaires, they're saying, if we spend money, we will make more money.
Yes.
And that right there, that aggressive approach, it pays off.
It does. There has not been a single team in North American professional sports that has dumped money into their organization. I should say North American professional sports of the big three that have pumped money into their organization and not seen the return. Even in something as crazy as the Mets, where you've got Cohen dumping $340 million into them. Guess what? There's still people showing up. The Mets are still getting all the coverage. They're getting the ad revenue. They're still making the money.
One of the great young stars in baseball, not playing in Baltimore. We need to get him out of where he's currently at because they are one of those old ownership groups, is Ellie De La Cruz of the Cincinnati Reds, who he captured the hearts of everybody last year by throwing the ball 95 miles an hour across the diamond, legging out triples on what should be a single blooper to right field, and the guy's standing on third by the end with his incredible speed. He's got a flair for the dramatic, and he's got all the tools to be a superstar.
He's
in
also
baseball.
like 6'5", 6'6". He's enormous.
What he did this offseason, though, it shows me he's ready and wants to be a superstar in a face of baseball. We talk about this in the NBA a lot, how you can't have a European player being the face of the NBA. In baseball, I think you can have an international player being the face of baseball. Because when you have a guy who's committed to it like Ellie De La Cruz, it was fantastic yesterday. He unveiled the new tool that he's putting in his arsenal, which is speaking English in his interview.
Yeah, it's so important to me because now you guys understand what I say. And it's important to the fans to understand me and me understand the fans. And I put a lot of work on my English to talk with you guys, and I think I'm doing a good job. That's what I think. I don't know.
I can vouch for that.
I don't know.
How did you work on?
I practice every day talking with the other guys, and I just talk with them, and I just let it go. I like talk with American guys because I create confidence.
So Jorge wasn't.
Hey, I don't need him no more.
Yeah, he doesn't.
He wasn't doing the job.
Yeah, he was doing the job, but
Yeah, I can leave. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
but he helped me a lot.
How great is that?
That's awesome.
Ellie De La Cruz spent his entire offseason learning English.
This is
because he wants to be able to communicate with fans, with the media,
with coaching staff. Even
but it's
players,
to be a superstar.
Yeah. That's locally and on a smaller level. I think I've told the story before. Last year at Summer League, Ibu Baji stopped me in the hotel when we were talking, and we just back and forth about just the first game in Summer League, and he starts to walk away and he comes back and he goes, "Hey, can you do me a favor?" And he's broken English. He goes, "Anytime you see me, can you stop me and talk to me so I can work on my English with you?" And I was like, absolutely. And you love to see these guys understand what it takes to be a pro. And that is it's not to say that it's impossible to do it because Ichiro pretended, Arvidas Sabonis pretended to not speak English,
and that is the big difference.
But look how far removed they were from being the superstars.
Whether it's Ichiro, who his talent showed that he could still be a superstar in the league, despite the fact he had this reluctance, even though he would speak English to his teammates in the clubhouse, that he didn't want to be the face of the franchise or the league. I love that you're seeing this out of De La Cruz, where
awesome.
it is something that is important to him because baseball needs that in the biggest way. They need guys with personality, and you can see as he plays, he has that. He has a personality and a flair to his game that if now we can start seeing that when he's off the field, baseball's going to be in good hands when you have young stars like that. We just need to get him out of Cincinnati, for God's sake.
Yeah, no, Cincinnati's where everything goes to die in baseball.
Oh, man.
I don't say that as a Cardinals fan, just in general.
Yep. So I'm here. I'm here for Elly De La Cruz. In opening day,
You know
already off to a great
where
start.
Elly De La Cruz should go? St. Louis.
No.
That's where he should go.
You know, actually, where I would love to see him at, because I think it would be great. San Diego.
Yeah. You know, it's funny the way
Star-studded team willing to pay. It would make sense to see him in San Diego in playing for the Padres. I don't know why they popped into my mind. Baltimore would be great, but
there's some very strong baseball been very, very good to me vibes to his accent, and it's very fun.
I need it. Well, they get underway against the Nationals coming up today. One thing that baseball did not do a good job at, why in the world did games start at noon today?
It's an all-day affair.
Oh, no. They should start at noon Eastern time and own the entire day of
the
baseball.
entire docket. Yeah,
Give me that game in Cincinnati at Great American Ballpark where they traditionally are at home. The first game of the year.
That is weird that it didn't open with the Reds.
First pitch that game at 9:05 a.m. and then have baseball all day long, because it would be great. What's happening, though, is that you have a lot of these games that are starting and getting underway. They're all going to be drowned out by the Sweet 16, which starts at 4 o'clock today.
Yeah, they do. Most of the games, though, technically should be done by then. I think we only have Mariners, Red Sox, Rockies, Diamondbacks.
There's 4 games after 4 o'clock.
Guardians, A's, yeah. So,
all right. Well, baseball is back, and it's back in a big way. Elly De La Cruz, he learned English. The Orioles' new owners, they're buying beers for the people of Baltimore, and the O's themselves have responded in kind as they're blasting the Angels 5-1. Still in, they've reached the bottom of the third inning now, and Adley Rutschman is on pace to bat 1,000 and have 300 RBI this year. So, I think that's all we can ask for, right?
I love it.
All right. Let's get to the Portland Trailblazers. Some burning questions about the Blazers coming out of last night, because it's actually substantial Blazers conversation that doesn't have to do with them getting the doors blown off them in Atlanta. Danny Dusty on the Fan. The first one, Delano Banton had himself a little night. And I love Delano Banton for this reason. And I said this when they signed him. A team in the situation the Blazers are at, they need somebody that'll just shoot no matter what. And I call Delano Banton an indiscriminate scorer, where it does not matter. There's not like much thought put into a lot of the shots. He's just going to put them up. And I'm for it, man. And last night, it was a more efficient night than what we see from him sometimes. 13 of 23, 31 points. He is, I think he fits this team for what they need right now, but he's playing himself into having a role in a roster spot moving forward.
Yeah, the thing about Delano Banton is he was traded for a bag of peanuts. It was
a pick that will probably never
it will not convey. It is a top 55 protected pick, and the way that the picks, I believe there's a swap on that. It would require, I think, both the Blazers and the Knicks, if I remember right, both being, or maybe it was the Pelicans, both being top 5 teams in the NBA for the pick to convey. So it's not happening.
Not going to happen.
And this was a way for the Blazers to technically send something to get Delano Banton off the Celtics, to take a flyer on him, because the Celtics are dumb expensive, and by getting him off, I believe that got them under one of the aprons, if I remember correctly, or it was just a tax-saving situation because he was owed $2.5 million. And once you're over that second apron, it becomes very prohibitive. But the Blazers took a flyer on a 6'7+ guard with some wiggle. And this is what the Blazers kind of have.
The defense is a big problem.
Yeah, I mean he's okay. That's as far as he gets.
I think that's generous.
I mean, being 6'7" can make up for being bad elsewhere. But he is not an explosive athlete. But his ability to decelerate and go from slow to slower is incredible. And he just gets to the rim over and over and over again. The swing skill is his shooting, but he's only guaranteed $200,000 next year.
Sure, that's great.
Well, this is a big deal because Moses Brown this year had a $500,000 guarantee. That was all he was guaranteed up until January 10th. But what that allows the Blazers to do is go in the next season with a guy on their roster only, quote-unquote, guaranteed $200,000. Yeah. So they can go into next year essentially free.
Okay.
And then if you get to January, if you waive him on the 9th, all you owe him is $200,000. If you get past that, you owe him, I believe, $2.3 million. The rest of it is $2.5.
Okay.
But it's another free opportunity to continue looking at a guy while he's showing that he's a viable player.
It's good to see. You mentioned Moses Brown. What is going on with his free throws?
Look, man, Moses Brown is 7'1", 7'2". Outside of a few players in NBA history, guys that big, their free throws are all really bad.
I don't I understand that that
big,
we just allow that to be
it's
like
a lot
something
of stuff,
we say.
big hands.
But I don't buy it.
It is.
I don't buy it though.
It
honestly,
it's a thing.
No.
Okay.
No. I get it, but that is he goes one-handed now, and he was 1 for 5 last night. I think that we just allow that to be like the Shaq started that, where it's just like he's just so big. Try something else. Like, at what point do you just say, I'm going to shoot granny because 1 for 5 and shooting one-handed is not the ticket?
I just don't think guys are going to do it.
But why wouldn't you?
Because of the stigma.
God. Well, in this one is this.
Hey,
he's starting to go viral now. That's never a good thing.
Chuck Hayes existed.
There is not.
Remember Chuck Hayes had a full-on reboot in the middle of his free throw?
Yeah, but you know what? The second highest free throw percentage in NBA history is Rick Barry, who did it.
It's true, but I'm just saying there's a stigma that goes with it.
Let's get to some other things though that have nothing to do with last night's game. Hey, under 28.5.
It is official.
It is safe.
Not that any employees at 1080 The Fan made that particular bet.
If you bet the under on 28.5, the Blazers cannot reach 29 wins this season. They have 9 games
Big
remaining.
Money.
They have won 19 games, so congratulations to everybody that had 28.5 on the under. You guys have hit. My other question is, the Spurs waxed the Utah Jazz last night.
Indeed.
There is a very real possibility the Blazers do catch the Charlotte Hornets for the 4th worst record in the NBA.
And possibly even the 3rd.
Can they catch the San Antonio Spurs for the 3rd worst record because it's 2 games with 9 to play?
Yeah, I tweeted this out last night. Currently, Pistons hold your number 1 odds. The Wizards are 2 games behind, or ahead, I guess. 2 games ahead of the Pistons. The Spurs are 5, the Hornets 6.5, the Blazers 7. That means 2 games separates the Spurs, Hornets, and Blazers. And realistically, you look at the schedule, Portland, they could lose out. I can see them losing out.
So they'll end the season on a 18-game losing streak or a 17-game losing streak?
I'm just saying.
Yikes, buddy.
I mean, I'm just saying, it could happen. Maybe they win 1 to break the streak, mix it up a little bit. But, look, I don't think this is necessarily shameless or shameful, but I think they understand the objective at this point in time. And the thing is, and I know the last couple of years the injuries have been like, I don't know about this. They're pretty banged up right now.
Okay.
And I don't think there's any reason to bring guys back.
But we did see Shaedon Sharpe. This was put on socials last night. He has been recalled from the Rip City Remix.
Yes.
And that was a very short conditioning, and he was assigned to the Remix for a conditioning rehab assignment. Do we expect to see Shaedon Sharpe anytime soon since he has been recalled to the NBA?
No, so the Remix don't practice again, I believe, until Sunday.
Okay.
And so there wasn't really much opportunity to get him any additional run. They have an off day in Miami before playing the Heat. So I believe they're going to have him go out there, or he's already on his way, or is there now.
Rejoin the team
And get some work through. But also, they've got their medical staff on the road with them, so they can, they're going to get, near instant updates from practice of how he's doing, and they'll have somebody on site there, or had somebody on site here in Portland to give an understanding. Because this was, I believe, kind of like the make or break of whether or not he's going to play this season. Like, all right, let's ramp him up. Let's see how he does a little bit before we introduced full contact, because I believe he only did 5-0.
Okay.
And if he gets to that point and they go, okay, he's good, let's start introducing contact, then they can kind of figure things out from there. That's usually the typical process when you're integrating somebody after missing such a long time, and particularly after the surgery, because the Blazers are very familiar with it. It's the 5th freaking one.
All right.
So,
something I want to get to a little bit later in the show, though, is the statistical comps that you threw out there for one Scoot Henderson in his rookie season.
Yeah, we'll
get to that a little bit
We'll
later.
talk that here in a little bit, but first we have to get to our worst day on the web, and this is the kind of thing that starts World War III. We'll get to that first, but here's Big Wheel Bets with a Sports Center update. past? This is kind of insane. This is a headline I came across. Norwegians facing a shortage as Easter nears are hoarding eggs from neighboring Sweden.
So the Norwegians are hoarding the eggs from Sweden because obviously decorating Easter eggs, it's probably one of the most bizarre traditions that we have.
It's actually a little bit more interesting than that because there's a town on the border that everyone's running across south of Oslo. It says it's been filled by desperate Norwegians trying to stock up on eggs. And these stores are running out of eggs. And the ones that aren't are now limiting eggs to being purchased of 3 20-packs. So 60 people are limited to buying 60. So like people are buying eggs in insane numbers.
Is it bulk season? Is it people bulking up? You need to get your protein in on your eggs.
I don't know what's going on.
Or is this solely for decorating?
It's not
Easter
It's not
eggs?
decorating. Apparently, so it's the way this is being reported is the Swedish stores are not only better stocked with eggs, but they're also cheaper. Which is they typically will run across the border for them anyways, but it's not for decorating. It's because they use them as in their food.
Okay.
They have a bunch of traditional Easter dishes with eggs
that are high on the eggs, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
But this is a weird situation because apparently there was a overproduction of eggs in Norway, which led to the government saying, hey, we need to reduce egg productions. And then they had a bird flu that led to a shortage. Okay?
Hey, we've been through that.
Hey, remember?
We saw our egg prices go through the roof. Remember that?
It wasn't just a bird flu, though. Remember, it turned out there was like an egg cartel.
Yeah, egg cartels.
There legitimately was.
Big
and
Egg, man.
Big Egg was actually pumping up the prices on eggs.
Huh.
So apparently the mafia, the mafiosos, they're moving in on egg territory.
Look, whatever Big Egg did to get us to, on Easter, dye eggs that the Easter Bunny hides for the kids, that may be the biggest, like, we call all these holidays like Hallmark holidays, like Valentine's Day where the big card gets you.
Yeah,
Egg industry really pulled one over on us with that one because like it's a go-to. You must decorate the eggs. And
if you don't, you just go plastic egg.
Dads everywhere have got to sit there and eat these dyed hard-boiled eggs for lunch for the next 3 days because of the fact that kids aren't going to, my kids actually will eat the hard-boiled eggs. Yeah.
Okay.
They'll eat the hard-boiled eggs.
Good hard-boiled eggs, good. It's tasty.
But at the same time, we also have this one where kids give up and there's one egg out there and maybe nobody finds it until summer comes along and you're out in the backyard and you're like, what is that rancid smell?
No, it's stinky kid butt.
And it's the leftovers, the lone soldier that was left out there because
that one, yeah,
the one that kids couldn't find.
Yeah, see, my parents, when it came around that time, they gave the instructions that only plastic eggs.
No, man,
be left.
You gotta have. So what'd you do with the ones that you dyed?
They either got turned in and we would only do like a couple.
Yeah.
And then it would go to they would get tossed into food or whatever else. But
you gotta
the ones that were hidden,
the Easter Bunny only hid plastic.
They only used plastic.
All right.
So the Easter Bunny was trying to be thoughtful for the environment.
Yeah, I will
reuse
say,
them.
Monday. It's a stinky day in the Hara household after all those hard-boiled eggs. Look. Me and the kids, we pound those hard-boiled eggs, and that's tough living on you. It's tough on your insides. I'm not going to lie.
I can see it, but
get you a little gassy.
Norway and Sweden here going to war over eggs.
I'm for it. I'm for it. They've been too nice for too long,
right? Let's not forget the Vikings. That's where they started.
I think this is excellent.
They all left. Oh God. Nordic Will. Now, how do you feel about this, Will? Are you Swedish or are you Norwegian in your heritage?
I have a red beard, so I think I'm Irish. I don't know that I'm Swedish or Norwegian.
You are way too tall to be Irish.
Yeah, the 23
Way
and
too tall.
The
Way
23
too
and me is going to show 98% Nordic.
It's going to show a
Your
lot
name
of
is
Europeans, so I'm not going to do it. Ortner's German, so maybe I'm like,
Yeah, Bavarian. Yeah,
sure.
Irish.
I have a red
You're
beard.
the
What do you
worst
want from me?
leprechaun ever.
Irish? Are you kidding me?
I have
You are
a red
the worst
beard.
leprechaun of all time.
Oh my god!
Everyone in
Well,
my
I know you
family
have a
on the
red
one
beard.
side has
Nords.
red hair. I have a red beard. It doesn't get more Irish than that. I'm basically Conor McGregor.
No. The Nords were also red bearded and red haired, and also guess where they raided, dude?
Yeah, Ireland. That's like I'm
They
sure
went
there's
down
some
to Ireland and UK.
I'm sure there's some Viking in Klondike, but I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. Can't trace my history back to Ragnar or anything.
Oh my god, we've got Nordic Irish Travis Kelce. This explains so much.
Yeah. Take it easy there, Ron Weasley.
You better be careful over there. You're in my neck of the woods tomorrow.
Just got nothing for him.
These are the fights that I'm here for. These are the fights that I'm here for. Is egg hoarding.
There we go.
Maybe the Swedes just need to get more chickens, huh?
I think maybe a little less bird flu.
A little less bird flu.
I don't even know how that happens. All right, coming up next, we're going from one big people to another. The Chiefs are signing a rugby player. This is interesting.
Who's Irish?
Yeah, full swing. There we go.
Guess
Brother.
what? He's not tall.
There you go. Danny and Dusty, today the fan. of it. The Chiefs agreed to a deal with rugby star Louis Rees-Zammit, a Welsh rugby player who was discovered last year at the NFL's International Player Pathway Pro Day. I shouldn't say last year, I should say last week, where the rugby player ran a 4.43 in the 40. So, guy who likes physical contact, run very fast.
There is a Seven Nations on Netflix. Good documentary. It's like Full Swing and Drive. What is it?
Drive to Survive.
Drive to Survive.
Yep.
It's in that vein. It's really good, and you see, like up close and personal, Seven Nations Rugby League over in Europe, on how big, strong, fast, and physical rugby players are. And this is like always been the thing, is like, can it translate to American football? Because as similar as the two sports are, they are dramatically different.
Yes.
And it is the open nature of rugby. And everybody's like, well, rugby guys don't get as many concussions. The game is played stylistically so different in the way that they hit. It's not just putting a helmet on a guy that makes it different.
Yeah, it's a lot of torn knees, though.
Everything is, yeah, it is. A lot of it is against in the NFL, and that's what is the big change. And we've seen teams in the past try to sign rugby guys and see if they Jared Haynes, remember that guy? He was the rugby player from Australia who went in, I think he played for the 49ers, and it was one of those things where they tried it, did not work for whatever reason. Like, he was a return guy. But the Chiefs, I think the Chiefs going out and signing this guy, it's smart because it's just days after the new kickoff rules.
Yeah.
And when you have a guy that in
space,
the space of the kickoff and the way that they're going to try to play it, it is so fit for a rugby-style player to find seams, get to open field, and be explosive, because it will emulate a lot of the rugby style when you have this new kickoff that they're introducing in the NFL.
You saw the Steelers go out
are doing it, man.
You saw the Steelers go out and go get Cordell Patterson.
I hope it works, because in Europe there are guys that are built to play in the NFL. They really are. And the NFL is trying their damnedest to try and get their hooks in. That's why we're seeing games in England and in Germany.
Yep.
We're going to get them in Spain. They're trying to find those guys more and more in, like, NFL Europe, where Osi Minor has been over there trying to get his hooks in and develop young talent to become NFL players. I think rugby is a fantastic place to start, and I hope that he works out. The dude is a physical freak.
Yeah, I mean, rugby is the
Freak
sport
of
definitely you
nature.
want to target. You don't think you're going to try to go for the Leo Messis of the world, the 5'7", 170-pound dudes.
No.
Not probably too useful in the NFL unless they've got Tyreek Hill speed. But the interesting thing about this is the way the NFL is doing this is that this season will be the first time that teams will have a 17th spot on their practice roster that is specifically held open for international players.
Yep.
Which it's a fun little wrinkle. It's a fun little twist. That is a way to kind of expand things. Think about the NBA expanding their two-way contracts. It's a developmental pipeline where you can go, okay, let's see where we go with this. But it's not particularly internationally focused. But the NBA is going a step further, where they're setting up academies where you've got NBA Africa, where you're seeing star players or star prospects already starting to come through. The NFL is kind of doing the same thing here in Europe, where they're setting up a quasi-NFL Europe, and they're trying to expand their footprint, because the more guys you expose to this game, the more opportunity is. When you're around the world, if all of a sudden you can scout the world, now that your resources become more plentiful. The ability to find a diamond in the rough and not find a guy who's playing somewhere in college at D3 that, hey, you can go here. But now you're finding them all over the world.
I think the NFL also saw, and they started it far later, but when the Dream Team played in the Barcelona games, that is really what jump-started the popularity of basketball in Europe. I mean, it had already been brewing, and in Russia it was huge. In the Soviet Union, it was huge. But what we saw was the rest of Europe saw the Dream Team go to Barcelona, and basketball picked up. Here we are, 32 years later, and the 5 best players in the NBA arguably are all European, all European guys. So when you take that into consideration, what the NFL saw was about 15 years ago, they said, okay, this transition is starting in the European influx in the NBA, and the popularity of the NBA in Europe has grown so much. How do we start getting into that as well? Because once you maximize your popularity in the United States, you have to take it internationally, because then your growth is exponential, right? Those games in Europe are working. They are, because you're taking the best of the best and putting them over there. Why is soccer, the MLS, not as popular in the United States, even though more people play soccer than football or basketball? Well, not basketball anymore.
Basketball's number one now.
Over.
Yep.
It's because the MLS is popular. We know it's not the best in the world. And the same thing is said for football over in Europe. You got a bunch of guys like that I played with in college. They go over and they play in Europe, and they have a great time over there, living and not making a lot of money, but experiencing Europe. But the people that live there, they know they're not watching the top level.
It's not the highest of the highs.
No.
And
that's why NFL Europe, it was mild. It was like popular like the MLS is here, where it was something that it had a very passionate but niche fan base, but it never really took off because they knew NFL Europe was not the NFL.
No.
Well, if we take more games and we put them over of NFL teams, that's why we see the NFL making such a big push. And we saw they're now giving more and more territories to individual teams and saying, like, I think that the Seahawks got 3 more territories.
Yeah, they handed some out last week.
Like Colombia, and like they're dipping into South America, where they get those marketing rights because they want to generate the popularity of individual teams in specific countries. It's actually really smart what the NFL is doing, but you need guys like this to succeed, so it gives that more hope.
And one of the places that it did take root in was Germany.
Yeah.
Germany is a place right now where outside of the U.S., I would imagine it's the number one international market for the NFL. I've got friends who are stationed out there. Obviously, they're American. They know the game, but they have told me even in the small little German villages that are outside some of these military installations that they are diehard football fans, and not the soccer kind, the actual football fans. And the NFL is doing their part here to at least try to help the growth of the game stateside with international prospects. Not only are they adding the additional practice slot, but they're also allowing kind of a two-way deal in the NFL where international practice squad players can be elevated up to 3 times throughout the season to the actual active roster to allow those players to get more experience, to get the development opportunity. There's only 17 games in a season. So it's not like the NBA or Major League Baseball where development can come through the grind of the season where you're like, end of the year we can toss some guys out there. Or Major League Baseball. Dog days of summer, let's get you out here on the road for a couple road trips. Let's figure out some stuff. The developmental aspect of the NFL is develop or die.
Yeah.
And so this is actually kind of a bit of a change where they're allowing for the additional growth and development within the franchises, within the league, that really doesn't take away from anybody else because they're allowing extra spots, not taking away from somebody else, which in the past, I think the NFL wouldn't be as wise to do. They would limit the roster size. They would say, okay, we'll give you this, but it's going to cost you an extra player on game day, or it's going to cost you a practice squad spot. The irony of this all happening with the Chiefs is that Clark Hunt is cheap.
Boy, his comments that he had about being ranked last or second to last only to the Commanders in the player survey, he said, I was surprised that our players thought we were getting a new locker room after we won the Super Bowl. I never told them that we were getting a new locker room after we won our Super Bowl. Dude, how out of touch are you?
Are you dumb?
That you thought enough to where it was like, hey, we're going to get rid of these stools and actually give them chairs in the locker room. He's like, we're going to start taking this more seriously, and we're going to make improvements to our facilities.
That dude is walking out of a room just stuffing money in his pockets.
Come on.
Because they're clearly not spending on the team.
No, he is.
And they're making it an absolute obscene amount of money.
That man better be thanking his lucky stars that he has Andy Reid, Brett Veach, and Patrick frickin' Mahomes
Covering up all of this stupidity.
Because we don't talk about this nearly enough.
Bad owners stumbling into good situations.
No, how bad the direction of the Chiefs was prior to Andy Reid coming to Kansas City. They were not in a good place.
No.
And they were in a very, like, it was they're going to go one of two ways with the Andy Reid hire. And thankfully for them, Andy Reid took control of that thing, and Alex Smith, they were able to get Alex Smith on the cheap, and he turned Alex Smith into not just a viable but a competent quarterback. And then they made the move and they had the foresight to go and trade up in the draft and go get Patrick Mahomes, because if they did not hire Andy Reid and allow him to be a football guy and make football decisions, they would be a joke. But right now, they're in the middle of a dynasty, and they have staying power for another decade plus.
Which being saved by superstardom is always a helpful way for owners to stave off the stupidity. Well, we'll pivot from one ownership group to another, because there is, I don't even know how to describe what the hell is going on in Minnesota right now with the sale, non-sale of the Minnesota Timberwolves and links to the Alex Rodriguez-led group. It is falling apart at the seams.
No, it has fallen apart. It's done.
Well, no, there's still arbitration. There will be lawyers. But the fact that we are where we are today, considering where things were just 3 weeks ago, is absolutely insane. And we'll dive in that in hour number 3 here on Danny and Dusty, 1080 The Fan. out of the office. We got we're in the studio. We have the TVs going, but here we get the golf sims going. We got a multiple TV situation with.
We got the Orioles hammering the Angels 7-1.
They continue just putting up runs. My Birds are struggling with the Dodgers as expected.
Look, I kind of feel bad because young Jake, who's doing all of our YouTubing right now, on the technical side. I knew he's from New York, and I knew he was a Yankees fan. I did not know he lives and dies by the Yankees. And I may have stuck a knife in his side when the Astros jumped out to an early lead on him.
A little 3-0 run in the
I
first.
didn't realize how hard he was going to take this opening day. And I kind of feel bad for piling on.
Which is shocking because you're an Astros fan, which would lead me to believe that you're soulless.
No. I mean, we just don't care about cheating, but we have souls in other regards.
I don't think so.
I mean, we have in other regards we have a soul, but the Astros are up on the Yankees 4-0. A lot of baseball left.
This just in, the Orioles
left.
just scored again. They are now up 8-1.
And let me guess, Mike Trout is 3 for 3. We know he has a homer, and he's like probably 3 for 3 with a walk.
No, he's 1 for 2 because it's funny as you say 3 for 3 because that would assume that actually somebody else hit and that we would progress through the lineup. That's only happened for Rendon. Checking in on Adley Rutschman, he has now had 3 at bats, 3 runs, 2 hits, 2 RBIs, and a walk. That MVP campaign for old Adley off to a roaring start.
That's not bad, Bob.
Yeah, he's really good. So if you're down and around, we'll be down here. Obviously, started at noon. We will get going till 7. Isaac and Suk will follow us here, and they'll keep you going all the way through the first opening activities, as it were, for the Sweet 16. All right, we do need to transition into this ownership saga or ownership sale saga that is going on in Minnesota. So Glenn Taylor is the long-tenured old head owner of the Minnesota Timberwolves, also known as the guy overseeing the worst organization in North American professional sports. They have the lowest winning percentage across sports of the major sports in the history of sports here in North America. They are bad. They are atrocious. They suck in every single manner. He's a tremendously bad owner.
I mean, how many playoff series have the Minnesota Timberwolves won?
One? Oh God, it's
with
single digits.
Troy Hudson,
I think it's
KG and all them.
I think it's 8 total playoff series, if I remember right.
That they've won
that
or
they've
played
won.
in?
I think it's 8 total.
Louise.
It's bad, buddy. It's really bad. But he is now no longer selling his majority stake in the Timberwolves to Mark Lowry and Alex Rodriguez. What? How did this happen? And yes, it's that Alex Rodriguez. Very tan, very leathered. He was on the road with the Timberwolves when they came through here a month ago. I saw him, and I told you off air the next day, Alex Rodriguez looks like a living piece of beef jerky.
And you were right.
You saw him later on TV, I think, on the road. They played the Clippers, I think was what it was.
The Timberwolves, by the way, have only won 2 playoff series in their franchise's
history. Two series, and they've been to 8? Is that what it is?
No, they've been to a lot more than that. But they have, most recently, they lost 4-1 to the Nuggets last year.
Mm-hmm.
Then 4-2 to the Grizzlies in 2022.
Mm-hmm.
And then 2018, they got a gentleman's sweep at the hands of the Rockets.
Mm-hmm.
And then 2003, they beat the Nuggets.
That's the last time they won a playoff series.
4-1.
Was 21 years ago.
They beat the 20 years ago.
No, 20 years ago.
They beat the Kings 4-2, and then lost in the Western Conference Finals to the Lakers. And that would be the Troy Hudson, Kevin Garnett teams.
Goodness.
Other than that, prior to that, they had lost every playoff series that they'd played in.
Good God. So, yeah, the worst run team in sports. Okay, so this is where things stand right
They're
now.
2-11 in playoff series.
This sale process started in 2021. We are in 2024, okay? And Glenn Taylor sat down and made a pact over a long period with Lowry and Rodriguez that has since fallen apart in the last 2 years. Well, what has happened in the last 2 years? Well, Rodriguez and Laurie, on the auspices of taking hold of the organization, have made decisions that didn't suck.
Yeah.
And in so, the Timberwolves have been good. Whether it's, drafting Anthony Edwards or trading for Rudy Gobert or trading for Mike Conley, they have become a top seed in the Western Conference. Well, in 2021, Taylor agreed to sell the Timberwolves and the Lynx combined for a total of $1.5 billion. If you remember, the Phoenix Suns and Phoenix Mercury were sold for $4 billion. Now, Phoenix, bigger market, okay, you can understand that, but 1.5 to 4 is a pretty substantial difference. As of today, I can't believe he is saying this out loud. On the Chad Hartman show, Glenn Taylor was asked if the reason that this whole situation is happening is because the franchise might be worth double what he was selling it for. He responded, partly. So yes, I have a responsibility to those who have been on this ride for the last 40 years. So he's having seller's remorse, calling no takebacks. But I've also heard behind the scenes that Alex Rodriguez and Mark Lowry, part of the process taking so long was because they are in fact broke boys, and they do not have access to the cash flow necessary to make this transaction. Remember, this popped up with the Commanders as well where people were wondering where the money was coming from with Josh Harrison, whether or not how that was being routed, whether it was coming from overseas. Those same conversations are taking place here. So you have both the seller's remorse and the money being questioned as it pertains to Rodriguez and Laurie. And this is just so incredibly fitting for an organization that has just been mired in stupid.
So let me get this straight. What we had here was a 38-year run of dysfunction by the Minnesota Timberwolves. New minority owners come in, and they cede control on the basketball operation side. They cleaned house completely.
Mm-hmm.
They
bring in Tim Conley.
End up getting things right. The team explodes, and they're having back-to-back really good seasons under this new minority ownership that has taken control. And now the majority owner is saying, no, I'm not going to the timeline has expired, which it has. And by the way, Laurie and A-Rod are saying, no, we have the money.
Yeah.
We are funded. And
they've just taken a very long time to produce the records necessary to do that.
And so that is the hang up here.
Yes.
Look, I can't blame current ownership for saying, hey, and it's not just one guy.
Price of the brick has gone up.
I don't blame them for doing that, but when you have an agreement in place and then you backtrack off of that, this is why they had 38 years of sub-mediocrity in the worst-run organization. Think of that. They are the worst organization in professional sports history,
in North America.
And they've had 3 really good seasons in a row.
Yeah. It's an insane place. Kevin Garnett was actually the one who originally tried to buy the team from Glenn Taylor, and he is on record as saying, I don't do business with mother bleeping snakes, and with regards to Glenn Taylor.
That'd be a problem, Bob.
Okay, and here's what has happened since 2021 when they entered into the agreement to purchase the team for $1.5 billion. The Suns have sold for $4 billion. The Dallas Mavericks for $3.5 billion. The Charlotte Hornets, second only to the Minnesota Timberwolves in operating in stupidity, sold for $3 billion, which is, again, double the price. So not only is Glenn Taylor dumb on the business side of things when it comes to basketball, he's dumb on the business side of things.
Yeah.
Because he was willing to sell his franchise and his shares for half of a market rate.
And remember that this agreement, even it was low in 2021 too. People were like, "Whoa,
$1.5 billion." Maybe the thought was maybe he wants to cash out and speed up the process and get out. When instead it has been this long, drawn out process.
Now here's my question: Is the $1.5 billion for controlling interest?
Yes, it was for the remaining
51%,
because they currently have 40%.
Okay.
Laurie and Rodriguez currently control 40% of the organization.
So to get to 51%, they needed $1.5 billion.
I don't know if that's entirely for the controlling interest or beyond the 51%. But even then, it was a substantially low amount.
If I'm a Timberwolves fan, This is horrible.
You've got to be
news.
crawling at the back of your chair because you've been feeling good the last 18 months.
Because
and things were looking good.
Laurie and A-Rod's group pulls out, and then everybody that came with them leaves. The Timberwolves are back to being what they were.
Which, you hate to see it.
Oh, you do a deal with the devil, you're going to get burned.
It's one of those very strong. You hate to see it. You know, it's an interesting place that's kind of going. The stories that are coming out around it. The ESPN article that is highlighting this highlights that the relationships between Laurie Rodriguez and Taylor have deteriorated over the last 2 years.
Okay, this is my. Are the Minnesota Timberwolves the worst team to be a fan of right now? Because if you are a fan of the Oakland A's, you have John J. Fisher, and they're ripping your team out. They're moving him to Vegas. But you have, for now decades, kind of primed yourself that we are a dysfunctional organization. This is who we are. We're not going to be good. We are just in the doldrums of
You
fame.
actually can't have nice things. We're Trailblazers fans just sitting there thinking, we can't have nice things. No. You've had nice things for a very long time when you're facing adversity for the first time.
The Reds, Pittsburgh Pirates, like you know what you're getting yourself into.
This is
with
actual,
Minnesota, you had this glimmer of hope.
which
you
makes
get
the
to
crush even worse.
You get to being the number one seed in the Western Conference for most of this year. And as your team is starting to fade in the regular season and the Nuggets chase you, get a little bit of separation with the Oklahoma City Thunder. As your team is fading, so is your hope that competent ownership is going to take over. That may be the worst of it. I would say that Mariners fans are probably in this conversation too, because you came in with new ownership. Jerry DiPoto was having things heading in the right direction. You thought that your roster was a roster that you're going to be willing to spend on, and then all of a sudden ownership pulls the rug out on you this past offseason. That
just
may
kidding.
be up there too. I mean, in all honesty, what is the worst fan base in sports right now to be a fan of?
It's probably Minnesota. Because you know what's coming. You know what's coming.
Every other fan base has got a little bit of hope, or you're an A's fan, which I don't know why you're an A's fan at this point anymore. Like even the Carolina Panthers, you have a little bit of hope that David Tepper's just going to keep pumping money into
And
the
maybe they'll
franchise.
stumble into stupid, much like the Chiefs with Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes.
But at least your owner's going to be willing to spend money on it. Like the Bears, the McCaskey family, you're sitting there and you're like, well, at least Poles is pulling this thing in the right direction, and all of a sudden we got Caleb Williams that's going to be coming in. We have competent targets and weapons offensively that we can work with. Like there's a little bit of hope that you're clinging to. The rug seems to be being pulled out from underneath Timberwolves fans as things are really starting to get good and functional for the first time ever.
Which,
That's crazy.
from afar, is kind of fun to watch.
It is.
I like to watch the world burn.
Yeah, you do. You're an agent of chaos.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit of fun. All right, coming up next, speaking of chaos, the world of quarterback selection, development, and ejection from franchises has changed rapidly over the last decade. Why are so many teams changing the style of how they are building with quarterbacks? Coming up here on Danny and Dusty, Danny the Fan.
Here comes the madness.
For the third time in 5 years in
when it comes to the development and the ripcord pulling of quarterbacks in the NFL. Up and down rosters, the rookie scale has made it significantly less prohibitive to go, nah, he ain't the guy.
Well, I mean, I think that the interesting part is we see, just think of where we're at right now with the 2021 and the 2022 drafts.
Yeesh.
All of those quarterbacks that we've seen the turnover, and I think the 2021 draft gets a little unfair criticism because we knew at the time it was not a good quarterback draft. Like when Kenny Pickett was the highest drafted quarterback in that draft. And so we're sitting there like, oh, I can't believe they all flamed out. Well, yeah, we all knew that guys like Desmond Ridder and Kenny Pickett were going to be reaches. And they weren't drafted particularly high. But the 2022 draft, that is one where I think Zach Wilson and Trevor Lawrence are the only two guys that are on there on the same team. And Zach Wilson is the ultimate
thread
for now. But the idea that, and what we used to see with teams is they would draft a quarterback high, but we were a lot more selective on it because of the fact that guys like Sam Bradford were getting $60 million, Jamarcus Russell getting $50 million in their first deal because the quarterback was so important. But we didn't see guys like what we're seeing right now, where I don't think if we were in the old draft format where we didn't have slotted rookie scales, I don't know if we definitely don't see Caleb Williams, Drake May, Jaden Daniels going 1, 2, 3.
No.
You would not have seen that.
Caleb, first-round pick. Absolutely unequivocally. Beyond that?
Yeah, I think those guys would have been – I think Drake May or Jaden Daniels, you would have that conversation of being top 10 quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Or, 10 to 15.
Sure.
Right? But now that you have slotted salaries where you're not having to pay $50 million, $60 million, or what it would be now is like $100 million salary, or $100 million contract that you're handing out to a rookie quarterback who's never played. Now that you don't have to do that, it's easier to pull the ripcord because what you can do is if you take a flyer on cheap talent and he hits for you and it's a position of need in the most important position in all of sports, well, guess what? You can get out of it very quickly. And we are seeing that in 3 years. Most of the 2022 guys, they're on different teams now. And it has made teams more aggressive in the quarterback market, but it is also at the detriment of a lot of teams that say, like the Commanders and the Patriots and the Vikings right now, who are going, we need a quarterback. And the Vikings, I to a far lesser extent, because if they sit there and they take a flyer on a quarterback and it pops for them, they're a Super Bowl contending roster. Like they are. I mean, you have all the weapons in the world, but what we're seeing is like teams like New England and Washington, where if they take Marvin Harrison Jr., if they take Joe Alt, which is what we used to see because those were the surefire guys, and then you go and you wait and bide your time for that quarterback of the future, they may be off and they may be in a better place in the long run.
And if you're doing the money ball of it all, this is a anonymous quote from an AFC executive. Players like Trey Lance, Justin Fields, Mac Jones, Zach Wilson would likely be second or third round picks that they came out when Aaron Rodgers did. Remember Aaron Rodgers as a prospect? The thing about him was the elbow out, ball high, and that drove him down to, was 18th for the Packers?
I think it was also between the years. His personality also was a big question.
Which
for Aaron
even back
Rodgers.
then was very different.
Yeah. Unless you're the Raiders, because they take anybody with any questionable character at all.
But went on to go. The fact that they are considered top prospects highlights how desperate teams are for a quarterback and how inflated the quarterback market has become. And this is where I think teams like the Raiders, like the Broncos, if they're smart, they will trade back if they are trying to maximize how the value scaling will work in this year's draft.
Yeah.
Again, if I am a GM in the NFL, GM Danny, and my owner says, go get me a quarterback, I am not going to tie myself to J.J. McCarthy. I will not do it. I am not going to mortgage my team to move up in this draft to go get J.J. McCarthy. And if you want to believe that and you want to go do that, fine. If he ends up turning into Tom Brady 2.0, so be it. I am not going to do that. On the same token, I am going to try to maximize my roster by moneyballing this and going, look, whether it's Penix, whether it's Nix, or even if it is McCarthy, if I'm in a position where I am in the middle of the first round or post 10th pick, and I have the opportunity to go, you know what? I like this guy. I don't love this guy. Let's trade back and make this make sense for our franchise going forward, because you can set things up. You can value scale slot things all the way through and take advantage of an inflated market, and let everybody else be dumb about mistakes.
Well, and this is where the rich get richer in the NFL's first round as of late, is because when you have 5 quarterbacks going off the board in the first round of drafts, all of a sudden you slot down best player available is going to push better teams. Yep. And even those teams that, like, if Minnesota does want to trade back, or a team does want to trade back and move down, those teams at the bottom of the draft are sitting there going, well, hell, we'll move up 5-6 spots and we'll give up a 3rd rounder or 4th rounder and flip these 2 picks to move up and get the guy that we feel is the best available right now and fits kind of what we need. That's why the Kansas City Chiefs are knocking it out of the park year in and year out. It's because you're able to get better value in the back end of that first round as well. The rookie pay scale wage in the first round, it has benefited great teams exponentially, but it also it really has given those teams that are searching for that franchise quarterback, it's given them an out to where you don't have to sit there and say, well, we drafted this guy high, we paid him a lot of money.
You're not stuck with Jamarcus Russell.
We have to stick with it.
Yeah.
We have an option to get out early, a la the Arizona Cardinals, which reached on Josh Rosen and then said, oh, man, we screwed that up. And then, boom, they get Kyler Murray, which, say what you want about Kyler Murray, he's better. He's a good quarterback.
Certainly better.
He's a very good quarterback.
You may want to hit the eject button, but he's certainly better.
What it's also done, though, is it's given teams like Kansas City and Green Bay the opportunity to draft and stash guys more reasonably, right? Like, think of it. Like, if the Kansas City Chiefs don't go out and draft Patrick Mahomes, where are they at? They used a first-round pick after having Alex Smith have 2 career years.
Yep.
Like,
it's risky,
and they were able, but it's not anymore. It's not. That's the thing about it, is you have the ability to draft a quarterback and put him on.
I'd argue moving up and expending more draft capital, a la Trey Lance, is risky. Moving up,
you're able to get out of it.
Yes, but
able to get out of it.
The fact that the 49ers are where they are right now, even after having given up all that capital for Trey Lance, is one of the most miraculous, incredible things in sports, in my opinion.
But they had the ability to do it and get out of his contract in a snap.
Because they had Mr. Irrelevant.
Because of the rookie wage scale.
Yes.
Like, it wasn't prohibitive of them moving forward because it didn't hurt their cap.
But they also had a viable replacement there, too.
They had 2.
Yeah.
They had 2 viable replacements in Jimmy Garoppolo, and then they did hit the absolute lottery in Brock Purdy. But to think of this, there's an executive in the NFL that brought up a pretty interesting point. If the rookie wage scale wasn't where it's at, where would the Green Bay Packers be right now? Because think of when they went out and they got Jordan Love in the first round. There wasn't a team in the NFL that was using a first-round pick for their replacement prior to 2011 when the rookie wage scale came in. There was not a single team that would use a first-round draft pick when you have an MVP franchise quarterback like Aaron Rodgers on your roster. But because of the situation that they were in, they were able to draft and stash Jordan Love and have Aaron Rodgers' replacement be a first-round pick waiting. it has worked out. Like, Jordan Love has got a lot left to prove, and he is no Aaron Rodgers, and I don't think he will ever be the caliber of Aaron Rodgers. But they now have a quarterback that they can believe in moving forward.
Absolutely.
But where would they be if instead of drafting Aaron Rodgers' replacement,
They drafted a wide receiver.
they went out and T. Higgins was available?
I mean,
in Green Bay is in this unique situation where they're going to go 40 years with 3 quarterbacks.
which is just absolutely insane.
They're going to go from Favre to Rodgers to Love.
Mm-hmm.
And they have stability at the most important position in sports. But would you trade that if you would have another Super Bowl? And Aaron Rodgers had 2 Super Bowls.
I think every fan would say yes. I think every Packers fan would say yes.
They'd rather have the Super Bowl.
I mean, wouldn't you?
It's a weird. It's weird how it benefits, but it also can hurt you at the same time. Because if they go out, if they were to draft T. Higgins there instead of Jordan Love, they probably win a Super. Because you have Devontae Adams, T. Higgins, Aaron Jones, Aaron Rodgers.
Pretty dynamic group, and your money makes sense.
Jeez.
So, it's all very interesting. Just going to see where this is at right now, and what's going to be the next shift. Because for every shift that occurs in professional sports as it pertains to contractual advantages and inefficiencies in marketplaces, because that's exactly what this is. It's a market inefficiency being exploited inefficiency for rate of return, to get fully nerdy. But where this kind of goes out of this is going to be really interesting. The next part of this, speaking of rate of return, Scoot Henderson is ending his rookie year here.
One last thing on this. This is all to say, this is exactly why you see all the mocks being everywhere. Why J.J. McCarthy, why Bo Nix, why Michael Penix, all could join the other 3 in the first round. Like, everybody's like, how can you explain it to me? This is the explanation. If it works, you get a 5th year, and you can then you can franchise tag him after that. If he's your franchise quarterback, you can control these guys for 6 years. But also, it allows you to get out early if they don't work out for you, and that's why we could see 6 quarterbacks in the first round this year. Okay, sorry.
No, it's going to be interesting. It's really going to be one of those things where you go, oh, is this 2020, 2021, 2022 all over again, or did they actually find some guys here? I think when you're talking about finding some guys, you take a look at Scoot Henderson's rookie year and where he is ending up right now. I have had this discussion behind the scenes with a lot of people around basketball, scouts, evaluators, executives, front office folks, about Scoot Henderson, a 19-year-old who, if you go back to when he was drafted, we talked endlessly about 19-year-old point guards suck. That's just the reality. But what comes out of them going forward? I threw up on Twitter yesterday a NBA Rorschach test.
I love this.
The idea of you see what you want. But I posted Scoot Henderson's rookie year alongside Darius Garland and De'Aaron Fox. And if you aren't aware, they're very similar. Where they go and where Scoot Henderson goes from here is still up in the air. But it's an interesting thought, idea, and prospect to dive into here next on Danny and Dusty. But first, here's Big Will Betts with the Sports Center Update. down here because we love everybody down here, but also they've got another location opening up here very shortly out in on your side of town.
I want this bean paste to
Beavertown.
inject into my face hole.
I love that drop.
It's
We have mobile drops now.
yeah. I was just saying, I was like, what's going on here?
Yeah, I got mobile drops. I'm bringing the drop board on the road.
I like it. But X Golf is going to have another location. Obviously, we're out here at Tualatin. We'll be at Vancouver tomorrow. Isaac and Sukar will be here following us here shortly. But they're going to have a location out on the west side.
That's right. Open up at the end, around mid to late
April. About 2-3 weeks, they're going to have another location out there.
And it's right in that part of Beaverton that is actually getting all fancy now,
Yeah,
right?
it
It's
is.
over by the high school, and that to me, that area of Beaverton, because they're putting in a bunch of breweries and restaurants and shops and stuff over there. Long overdue, but X Golf is getting in over in that side of town.
It's a good spot, and if you're if you're a golfman and you want to get in here for a Masters Scramble event, they got that going on the 11th. They've got a Spring Scramble League that you can sign up for, and then they've got some kids camps coming up in July and August.
Great idea.
Which is super cool. Actually, if you look around here right now, we actually do have some kids in the bays right now.
Spring break.
It's spring break time. You're never too young to get hooked on a game that will ruin your life.
No, this is when you have to get the kids hooked.
Yeah.
Because golf is the game that keeps on giving. I mean, you play
Headaches.
it, you can play it when you're older, but if you don't get in when you're young, like, you really don't have that chance to get good unless you put a lot of time in when you're an adult. I love golf. It's so fun.
It is fun.
It's a great social
And when
event.
we get off air here, I'm going to go see if I can invade a bay and get a few swings in.
There we go.
All right, back to the basketball at hand. I tweeted this out yesterday, and there's a discussion that I've had with multiple people really throughout the year because I wrote in August of last year. The headline of the article on my Patreon was "The Mountain in Front of Scoot Henderson's Rookie Year." Scoot was the 24th teenage point guard in NBA history. It is incredibly rare for a point guard to be drafted as a teenager. It just doesn't happen. Think about that. This is through the entirety of the NBA. Now, you didn't have teenagers that were draft eligible until, 94? But that means essentially in the last 30 years it has happened 24 times. You go back into this, though, and you start realizing that they all suck, with the exception of a couple guys that have stood out. But even then, they still weren't good. Kyrie Irving was okay. Stephon Marbury was okay. LaMelo Ball was okay. Then you go look at rookie point guards in general, Dusty. De'Aaron Fox was a disaster his rookie year. They were calling him a bust right out of the gate. Vanderbilt's Darius Garland was a disaster out of the gate. They were calling him a bust. Both are tremendous players. De'Aaron Fox is one of the best point guards in the NBA right now. And he went from being a guy who can't shoot to being a plus shooter. And this is, I tweeted out the infographic. Scoot, De'Aaron, Darius, all in their rookie year. Okay? Scoot leads them all in scoring at 13.1 points. He leads them all in rebounds at 3.1. He leads them all in assists at 4.8. And then he's right there in stocks and steals and blocks. Field goal percentage, that's where he lags. He's at 38%, where Fox is at 41 and Garland at 40. 3-point shooting, Fox and Scoot are almost dead even. Garland led in free throw percentage at 88. Scoot's second at 83%. Their effective field goal percentage, all crappy. And then you get into the advanced analytics. All of this is to say is young point guards take a long time. And you can look at this and go, well, Scoot had a very bad rookie year. And I think he's going to be bad the rest of his career. That's fine. He had an incredibly poor rookie year. Flip side of this is you can go, Scoot had a poor rookie year that mimics very, very, very good players later in their careers.
Yeah.
I believe he's going to be very good. And that's the thing is this summer is going to be a pretty sizable indicator for Scoot going forward.
Okay. This is the thing about both De'Aaron Fox and Darius Garland, is that their rookie seasons, they also did not have the tools around them to be this successful, right? Mm-hmm. Because if you look at the rosters that were around him, De'Aaron Fox had Bogdan Bogdanovic, Vince Carter, old Vince Carter, by the way, in his 19th season in the NBA, Willie Cauley-Stein, Buddy Hield, and then Zach Randolph was on that team his rookie year?
Yes, that was Zach Randolph getting caught with a lot of weed in his trailer, Zach Randolph.
Now, this is a far different Sacramento Kings team that you're looking at with Domantas Sabonis, Keegan Murray, Ronald Threasley, Kevin Huerter,
Keegan Murray, Sabonis. Run through the list. There are sense that make Malik Monk. They're a team that makes significantly more sense. But even then, in year 2, De'Aaron Fox finished 3rd in most improved player voting.
Okay, but this is the thing. They transformed their rosters to help and support them. They did it.
As they got further down the road, yes.
And that, to me, is where Portland has got to change the way that the roster is constructed.
They need more shooting.
You say it as making sense. They have to be. This year has not been what most people expected to see out of Scoot Henderson. But, look, the reality of it was he wasn't going to be a dominant player anyway. And you did how many words on it? Like 14,000 words
There's
on it.
2,100 words on Scoot Henderson about how difficult it is as a teenage point guard in the NBA.
But this is where you go to – you have to – if you're going to hitch your wagon to him, the roster has to accentuate what he does well.
Yes, they need more shooting. There's no doubt about it.
And cover up his shortcomings.
Yep.
And if they can't do that, even though you look at those stats, and I think those side-by-sides that you did are good because of the fact that you can sit there and you can say, hey, you can improve your game. You can be a team that can – or be a leader of a team that is competitive in a top half team in your conference if you have the limitations that a guy like Scoot has, because those guys had them in their rookie seasons. But you have got to make sure – the Portland Trailblazers put the pieces around him. That's the most important part, because that growth and that development, it doesn't happen, and it becomes stagnant if they don't put shooters around him, if they cannot continue to build off of what he does well and mask some of his deficiencies.
And that's what's going to be interesting when you see where this is headed with Scoot. Now, why we've hinted at so much at this summer being kind of an indicative moment for him. The development cycle, year 1 to year 2, is usually a big jump. To me, year 2 to year 3 is typically when you start seeing stuff really start to come together. I want to see Scoot come out of this summer and show that he's developed as a finisher. It's not that he's done. It's not that he's totally figured it out, but he understands where he can pick up the ball from, add a floater to his package, be able to finish with his left hand, or get really good at finishing with his right hand. There's just stuff there that he needs to clear up and show as he progresses forward to where the Blazers can go, okay, this is starting to make sense. All right, speaking of making sense, ladies and gentlemen, Isaac Robb and Jason Yank are in the building. They're going to make all the sense in the world. We'll get ready to hand you off to them. Coming up here on Danny and Dusty, Danny the Fan. everyone involved here for the March Madness Part 2. Coors Light and Warren Allen, attorneys-in-law. I love coming out here, man. Just hanging out, getting out of the office, having folks come out, say what's up, pony up, hanging out, and getting ready to, an hour away from tip-off here for the opening night of the Sweet 16?
Yeah, it's going to be fun, man. We got really good matchups, too. I'm really excited to see kind of stylistically, we got good matchups in the Sweet 16, especially that Illinois-Iowa State game that we have coming up tonight as kind of the nightcap, kind of ending everything off. Arizona, don't choke. Please, just don't choke.
The Beavs and Cougs are saying, go to advance on. Advance on our nice little money pool we got going here.
Yeah, we'll see how long. We'll see how long they can hold it together for, but a good run for Arizona is good for the conference, good for West Coast basketball. You got a rematch of the national championship game from a year ago.
How's your bracket
San
looking?
Diego State. 7 of 8 of my Elite 8 are still alive. I think it is 13 of 16.
2 of my final 4 are gone.
That's not good, Bob.
To give you an idea of how I'm doing.
That's not good, Bob.
So,
yeah.
It's not great, Bob.
Brackets doing okay. I'm in the money.
Well, that must be nice. Did you just do one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, no, like one. I do. It's the same picks.
Okay.
But I'm in a couple of
That's
pools
fine.
with
As long as we're
friends.
doing the same picks all the way through.
Yeah. Don't change it up.
No, that's monster stuff. Let's see. My Sweet 16, I'm missing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yikes, dog.
That's not good, Bob.
Stuff.
That's not
Stuff.
good, Bob.
My whole Elite
Chalkiness
Eight is
really
still
did me in.
alive,
But now
suckers.
you just kind of. Hey, there you go. I think the only team I don't have